Hey, I'm back. I know it's been several months since I've uploaded a video. It's been a hell of a lot going on. Lots of ups and downs over the last month or two. And the old one step forward, two steps back game is in full force. To say this journey has been frustrating is like saying the universe is a pretty big place. I think you get the picture. I'm obviously not an expert. In fact, I'm just a guy with a garage and some tools. But if you're in the world of car restoration, I assert not a lot goes to plan. And that's certainly been true in my case over the last couple months. Okay, if you've been here before, thanks for continuing to take a look at what I've been up to. Appreciate you stopping by. The old adage is it's a marathon, not a sprint, is really true in this case. But I think we're making progress, the kind of progress that is excruciatingly slow and frustrating. If you're new here or happen to stumble upon the channel, this is my ongoing attempt to restore 1985 VW Scirocco Mk2, which I am the only owner.
Alright, so let's go back a few months to recap what's going on. I ended the last video pretty frustrated with a leaking fuel distributor that I sent out to a company, CIS Flowtech. 3 times that they tried to repair that fuel distributor, and each time it came back it leaked after their so-called refurbishment. In the end, they did send me a fuel distributor which isn't leaking. However, it's not the distributor off of this car. Without telling me, they just sent me a whole new distributor, which I guess was remanufactured. They knew it was good and it's not leaking, but still, it's not off of this car. So even though the fuel distributor leaking issue seems to be resolved, it's not running great. Now we got a little bit of pulsating in the engine. I'm still hearing occasionally the buzzing sound coming from the right passenger rear, after which the car subsequently just dies. It just kind of feels like we've been through an organ transplant. You know, we've ripped the heart out of one car to put it into another car, but it's really not the heart that belongs in that car. There's a whole lot of tuning that still needs to happen, and it's just not running great. I mean, it's almost like an organ transplant rejection. And with the complexity of these fuel distributors, you know, I'm happy that it's not leaking, but the fact that I don't know anything about how to tune those distributors, I don't know how you go in and test for the shims to get the right system and back pressures, etc. It's just something that I don't want to deal with, and I know when I need to ask for help. So I reached across a number of shops in town that seem to specialize in German cars, and I quickly found out that nobody wants to touch a car with CIS fuel injection.
Oh, hell no!
And in fact, I couldn't find anybody that had any experience dealing with cars with CIS fuel injection. Luckily, I did get the name of an OG mechanic who actually worked at a shop that I had taken this car to 20-30 years ago, that was still in the books at the shop. He is retired. They gave me his number. I reached out and he answered, and we had a conversation. He seemed interested to take a look at the car. Again, he's retired. He's sort of doing this stuff on his own time, but he seemed interested. So where we're going to pick up in this video is me getting the car towed, one of many tows, from the house down to this guy's shop. His name's Tony, and the rest of the video will be the saga of Tony attempting to get this thing on the road. So that pretty much sets the stage for this video. We're gonna start off by getting this car towed down to Tony's shop and see what he can do with it.
All right, so we're gonna take it over to Tony's today. I just can't do anything more with this fuel distributor, so we're actually just gonna get it towed over. I don't trust it, number one, and number two, it's not registered and insured yet. So just do a quick tow. And I've never met Tony before. It's just sort of word of mouth, and we'll see what happens. He seems like he's the guy and wants to work on it. So that's what we're going to do.
Day 2.
Okay, hey, I got a call yesterday after about a day and a half that the Scirocco's ready. Apparently it's driving real nice is what I heard. Worked on the distributor, worked on some other things, bushings and the shift linkage. taking it out for a couple drives. I guess it is idling a little rough, apparently, as to the preference of Tony, who's been working on it. So I don't know what that means, but I'm on my way down to his place, his shop, to take a look at it and get it brought back to my place. So kind of exciting, you know. It's been 4 years plus working on this thing, and then finally got to the distributor problems that I just I don't have the knowledge to figure that out. So he seemed like he had a good time working on it. One of the only experts, I believe, left in town. So hopefully we got a new car. So we'll be down there a little bit, and hopefully I can get him to talk a little bit about what he did and what he saw, and maybe some of the things that are still wrong with it, or maybe it'll work itself out. I don't know, but we'll be there in just a few minutes.
A few moments later.
Okay, so hey, we're at the shop. Tony has been doing CIS for a long time, and I got to him by word of mouth, and he's worked on the car for the last couple days. So can you just tell us what you went over?
When I first got it in, the first thing I did was I just because I knew he put a fuel distributor on it, I went and got my wrench to put in and adjust it to see if I could make it run any better, and my wrench wouldn't fit inside the little Allen, so I had to take the box out to clean the Allen out so I could get my tool in there.
Interesting. Okay.
I had checked to make sure that the fuel plate was set in the housing okay, and it was fine.
Okay. And I had done no adjustment with that at all.
Okay, so that was fine.
Okay.
It didn't move or anything. So then I went ahead, just for the heck of it, and I went ahead and adjusted the duty cycle or the dwell. I use a dwell meter. That's the way I've been doing it for 30 years.
How do you do that?
You put it on 4.
I mean, what are you physically adjusting?
I'm adjusting the mixture.
Oh, the mixture.
But I'm using, that's through the frequency valve. So I'm adjusting the fuel mixture through that. Okay, so I did that and kind of got it in the window, but it ran really bad. So, but it was running better than here, at least it would idle a little bit. Okay, so I said, okay, well now what I do at this point in time is, okay, I stop and I want to make sure everything with the engine is okay. So I went ahead and checked the timing, and I had to reset the timing. It was too far ahead. Okay. I pulled the plugs out, re-gapped them, because they were a little bit on the closed side. I re-gapped them a little bit. And I went ahead and ran a compression check while I was there, because I want to know what I'm working with.
Did the plugs look good?
Yes.
So far? Okay.
The plugs look good.
Good.
So I ran a compression check just to be sure that we had a good engine, because, you know, if I'm adjusting all this with a bad cylinder, I'm wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
It was good. 120, 115, 110, nice, very close. Then I noticed as I was checking around, and I think I told you I found a leak, a manifold leak.
Yeah.
And vacuum leaks in any car, doesn't matter what it is no good. We got to make sure we have.
Was that gasket on and we just messed it up putting it back, the intake back on?
There was a little chunk missing at the bottom of it. So maybe when you put it on, you might have, you know, I don't know. When you put them on with the exhaust manifold on, you got to kind of slip them in there between there. Okay, when the exhaust manifold's off, then you can just, you know, put it straight on, so there's no issue. So, but I put a new gasket on it, and that took care of that. And I looked at the cups for your injectors. You had put all new stuff in there. It was really nicely done.
Oh, thanks.
And so from that point, I went gasket. So then I ran it up. It was running a lot better. And I went and did a fuel pressure test. I wanted to see what the pressures were. So the system pressure was 65, which is right on the bubble of being low, but it's right there. And then control pressure was 56, which is kind of high. But I think we need to run this a little bit to see what happens, and then we may have to make some adjustments later. I would like to probably get that system pressure up a little bit. All right, that's my opinion.
And again, that's the whole series of shims that's in the fuel distributor. And I'll put a picture in the video that kind of shows what that is. So I'll reach back out to CIS Flow Tech and see if they can send me some shims.
So after I did that, I went ahead and adjusted the duty cycle or dwell. It's the same thing. If we use dwell because way back when a lot of people didn't have scanners that could do duty cycles. They were coming out in the late 70s, early 80s. So I use dwell, but you use that, it's the same thing. So I like the dwell because you can watch the meter. When you're using a DVOM, the numbers flash real quick, so it's hard to kind of judge what you're reading. So the dwell meter kind of swings and you can watch it. I like it better. You can really get it really fine-tuned like that. So that was it. So anyway, other than a little bit of rough idle, the thing runs like a badass.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Tony. Okay. We'll run it for a little bit and bring it back, and hopefully we'll get some shims and see if we can dial her in.
Okay.
So unfortunately, here's where the plot thickens in the never-ending braking Scirocco.
You're goddamn right.
Mk2, 3 makes 10 and 10 makes 20.
After getting the car back home from Tony's, look over and tweaking, it seemed to be running great. It was shifting well, albeit I have to agree the idle seemed a bit high. At any rate, I took it for a much needed front end alignment. I got it to the shop just fine. The tech took it for a ride around the block to get a feel for what needed to be done. Got her up on the lift, did the alignment, and went for a check ride. Everything seemed to be fine. We paid, and on the way back to the house, which was a couple miles away, I started to hear the buzzing sound coming from the rear passenger side.
9 times out of 10 it's an electric razor, but every once in a while it's a dildo.
And shortly thereafter, the car died, and we were stuck on the side of a pretty busy road. Stranded again. Luckily, I was able to let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes and then get it started, and doing that, we limped home several hundred yards at a time.
Have an A1 day.
So I had the car towed to Tony's shop once again. This time the purpose was to see if Tony could recreate the buzzing sound and the stall. So we took the car out with Tony behind the wheel and me following close behind in the Jeep on a pretty hot desert afternoon, and took it for a spin. Just wanted to stay close to the shop in case it did die so that we could make it back fairly easily. And sure enough, after about 15-20 minutes of driving, I saw him pull over to the side with the blinkers go on, and sure enough, he heard the buzzing sound and the car did in fact stall.
There he is. You can see sort of limping along, and we're going to see if we can make it back. So as I mentioned to him yesterday, that if you let it sit for 10-15 minutes, something happens and you have enough juice, or I don't know, enough pressure. We think maybe it's the big pump that's pulling fuel now out of the tank instead of being fed fuel, or I don't know, we just don't know. But he's seeing that it's not moving and he's limping around, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get back. But I am so glad that it is doing what I said it was doing for somebody else.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Pinkman? Yeah, so I left the car with Tony, and a few days later he gave me a call telling me that the small fuel pump that's in the tank was seized up, completely seized up. Wasn't turning, just completely stuck. He even pulled it out, reverse polarity to see if it would move. It was just stuck. That pump was brand new when I put it in the car 4 years ago, actually. So it must have got gunked up with fuel, etc. So it seems like with the transfer pump, the one inside the tank not working, the secondary or the main pump, which is what I've been hearing, the buzzing.
I don't own.
must have been working overtime, because instead of being fed a constant supply of fuel from the transfer in the tank, it was now trying to pull all that fuel out of the tank itself, and probably just ran out of ability to pull at some point, and then that was hence the buzzing. The car went fuel starved, and then it died.
I had no idea I would get this far. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
He specializes in giving people new identities.
Of course, not a single auto parts place in this town had one of those transfer pumps. So I had to order one, wait about a week, get it down to Tony, and then he was able to install it. Now, he tested the car for a couple days and gave me a ring, and he was convinced that he's got this thing solved. So I picked up the car, tentatively drove it home, which from Tony's place to my place, about 14 miles. And, well, unfortunately, as the story goes, I did not make it home. When I got within a couple miles of my house, I could feel a slight shuddering, a slight surging. And lo and behold, a couple minutes later, I heard the buzzing sound, and of course the car died and left me stranded. As before, I let it sit for 10-15 minutes, and it seemed to come back to life, and I was able to cobble home a couple hundred yards at a time. So it took quite a while to get there, but I finally did get home. So once again, I had her towed back to Tony's place, and I could tell he was disappointed that he had not found the root cause of this stupid issue yet. I left it with him and took off, and then after a few days, I got a call from Tony saying that he thought he finally fixed it. He wanted me to pick it up, drive it for a while, and if it seemed okay, he wanted me to bring it back for some additional fine-tuning with the fuel distributor. Okay.
Hello, and welcome to the Los Pollos Hermanos family.
Alright, so that's kind of where I'm at. Had the car for a couple weeks now. Been driving it around a little bit. Seems to be doing okay. I've taken it out at different times of the day, taken it out at different temperatures. I haven't heard the buzzing sound whatsoever. Everything seems to be pretty good.
Pretty good.
I initially thought maybe I heard some or felt some surging at constant RPM when I first got it back, but since then it seems like everything has evened out, and she seems to be running pretty good.
Pretty good.
So I'm cautiously optimistic that we've figured this out. At the minimum, I'm glad I haven't been stranded anywhere.